Welcome to a Live Agency's bite-sized video series where we're going to dive into the latest trends and strategies inside the world of marketing. My name is Sophie, and I'm here today with Nick and Anthony, and we're going to just dissect the return on ad spend, or ROAS, as you might know it. We're going to discuss why sometimes it's improperly used and how to identify the best metrics that make sense for your business. So, Anthony, why should we stop looking at ROAS?
Well, thanks, Sophie. And first of all, I think ROAS doesn't really take in the overall health view of the business, right? ROAS is a short-term perspective metric. It doesn't account for the profitability, doesn't account for the cost of running your business. How about your customer lifetime value, right? So ROAS is basically measuring a platform's performance, and then that gets into a whole different can of worms that everybody's taking a piece of the attribution, right? So there's a huge challenge there with the attribution, so you really get down to what that true ROAS is. Nick, would you like to
victory has 1,000 fathers. Victory has 1,000 fathers. That adage makes a ton of sense, especially in today's marketing ecosystem and marketing mix, right? When as a brands that we work with have, a pretty significant mix across paid social, paid search, programmatic, connected TV, direct mail, et cetera, et cetera. And everybody comes back from the platform or agency side saying, hey, look at how great we're doing. And everybody's getting a 3 or 4 or 5 or 2 or whatever ROAS. And, your CFO is going to look at that and be like, that doesn't add up. Something doesn't add up. Right. And so, that's kind of why we sit in the position. I think that I don't want to say ROAS is dead, but ROAS as a business metric is not viable. ROAS can help you measure campaign performance, maybe, but I think there's other.
Nick, I was going to say, Nick, I think things that we have seen, whether it be on this side of the desk or when we were, in the chair at the client side, is you can have positive ROAS across all your platforms and you're not making money as a company, right? And there's so many things that the platforms do. And, candidly, a lot of agencies do to take credit for that. But at the end of the day, my sales aren't where they need to be and I'm not profitable.
Right. 100%. 100%. So I guess that begs the question, what do we do? How do we solve that? How do we solve for that? What are we telling clients? What are things that we're doing as partners to, help point them in the right direction on what they should be measuring and how to get a good reading on the health of your marketing performance?
And it's first, be a business partner, right? Be a business partner, understand their business, understand what their margins are, right? How they are profitable. Don't just come in and be an advertising partner.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think there's a ton there. There are a host of things that we can look at as, evaluating business metrics, understanding the difference between driving revenue and driving profit. Right. And I think I think it's probably one of the areas where marketers really are like, look at how much revenue we drove. And then operations and finance are being like, yeah, but you spent, look at what you spent to get that. Right. And so I guess that, Anthony, you and I discuss this a lot, but that's kind of an ROI piece, right? Like thinking about marketing, the ROI versus the ROAS, right? Because ROAS has this, it sounds great, but it's very campaign specific, right? I would venture to say that ROAS is campaign ROI, right? Because it's on a particular ad spend. But if you want to look at the health of your organization and your marketing initiatives across the board, you could look at things like total return on investment on your entire spend, and then look at things like how many new customers did we get? And how much did our advertising impact new customers, right? Or take at least our top and middle of funnel spend and analyze new customer acquisition costs, evaluate total customer acquisition costs, and look at things like that are, not the sexier of the marketing, acronyms or terminology, but like things that really help drive business performance, right?
And I think, you mentioned the funnel, but really understanding what each marketing tactics goal is, right? All marketing tactics, they don't all have a goal of driving that immediate sale, right? But it's putting those tactics together, right? And looking at that investment and what is that driving? Because as you sit down to build a marketing strategy, you're thinking about the whole, right? And what do I need to do to build awareness? What do I need to drive, action or interaction, and then that customer ultimately to make a purchase on your site?
Totally. I mean, and I think we see this a lot. We see this a lot in the small business in that growth phase, startup growth phase, where everything is just like, we want to optimize for conversion. What's a conversion? Sales. And so like thinking about it in terms of, this is a whole other customer journey conversation, but it's just not a linear, 1 + 1 = 2 transaction, right? Oftentimes there's delays that we don't understand, all of that. And we understand that, but a lot of founders and owners are like, great, they saw my ad, they clicked here, they're going to buy, right? And that's not how people behave. And so helping shape and form sort of a mindset around what expectations to be, which brings up kind of a, from our perspective, is like establishing benchmarks and KPIs at the outset, right? To say, hey, this is what we're measuring for, right? Let us help you measure the right things. Wouldn't you say, Anthony?
Absolutely, right. And I think that's the key. Set those benchmarks up front, right? Everybody has buy-in, then you can measure against them along the way, put up some gates, right? And say, here's how we're tracking, versus, having a very myopic approach and this one channel is not doing, driving sales immediately, right? Well, maybe that that wasn't the goal for that one channel, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Nick, there are some pretty good tools out there, right? That companies can use to help with that attribution, because attribution can be really hard for small companies. Well, heck, it can be really hard for any size company, really.
I think attribution has actually been one, like in the digital marketing world, it's been one of the headwinds for years. Getting it right and doing it well is tough, especially for growth brands. And I think kind of if we got into the like, all right, so great, how do we do it? Like, what do we do? I think there's probably a couple of things that I would look at. I would say having a single point of truth established and agreed upon by all your partners at the outset, right? So if you're going to use Google Analytics, great. Let Google Analytics be your North Star. If you're going to use your e-commerce platform as your North, let that be your North Star. But everybody agrees that we're measuring this in this way. So oftentimes we'll get partners will be like, you're looking at Shopify data and they're looking at Google data, and somebody else is looking at Adobe data, and it's like nobody's speaking the same language. We're not singing from the same songbook here. So having alignment and agreement on that at the outset, I think, is really important. And then having agreed upon KPIs is really important. But if you get down to the place where you're like, all right, I need better visibility into performance across all these platforms because everybody's grading their own homework and we're all getting A+, where do we go to really get answers? And again, having a clean GA setup is a great first step. Having the integration set up between platforms and Google Analytics could be a really great, sort of free version of what better looks like. But if you're able to and interested in it, I think there are some really cool tools and platforms out there that can help on what's called the server side analytics. And the brands use these all the time. I mean, this isn't a commercial. We're not sponsored by anyone, but I mean, I've seen kind of an industry standards for benchmarks on server side data. Companies like Elevar do a great job of connecting the dots between all the advertising platforms, Shopify and Google, and like translating this is when this interaction happened and how much time, like very granular data. Elevar is a good one. ROAS is a good one. They're newer. They're great. Triple Whale is a good one. We've used Triple Whale before. I had clients that have used Triple Whale before. And so, those are just a few of them. There's a ton of them out there, but I think that that would be a great step in the right direction, because brands oftentimes just get sort of stuck in this pattern of not really having a clear picture, kind of just spray and pray on media. And they're like, we're growing a little bit, we don't really know. And so, I think our counsel to them would be, get on the same page with, attribution modeling, with KPIs that we're measuring.
Set up your business metrics first, right? Business goals
Set those business metrics up first. That's right. And then there's great tools. And of course, find yourself partners that are helping you think about things through a business lens versus just a marketing lens, right? So that's it.